Hi, I'm Dr. Linda Acredalo.
And I'm Dr. Susan Goodwin, and we would like to introduce you to the Baby Signs program, the only research-based sign language program for hearing babies. We all know how frustrating it can be for babies when they're not able to talk, just like adults when they travel in a foreign country and they're not able to speak the language. It can be very frustrating. But based on over 30 years of research, we found that giving babies just a few simple signs, much like those used in the deaf community, babies can start to communicate about things they see, what they want, what they need, how they feel, and even what they remember. After all parents teach their babies to wave bye-bye. Yes, nodding their heads, or no, shaking their heads, and all we're saying is that's just the tip of the iceberg of what babies can do. There are a lot of other things that babies would like to communicate about. Take, for example, mealtime, with just 3 simple signs: eat, drink, and more. Babies can communicate what they want and what they need, making mealtime for the whole family much less frustrating and much more enjoyable.
We promise you that using the Baby Signs program with your baby will change your parenting experience in magical ways. Why are we so confident? Because both Susan and I have used the Baby Signs program with our own children and our grandchildren. And now we're delighted to be able to say that the American Academy of Pediatrics agrees with us. In their recent book called Heading Home with Your Newborn, they include the following statement. Infant sign language really does deliver on its promise of improved communication. It's easy to see why so many parents swear by it, why child care centers include it in their infant and toddler classrooms, and why it has become such a commonplace activity for daily learning.
We're also very proud that so many child development centers around the country have chosen the Baby Signs program to incorporate into their infant and toddler programs. And we're especially proud of the endorsement we've received from the Department of Defense. In 2008, their Child, Youth, and Family Services Division contacted us and asked us to introduce the Baby Signs program into child development centers on their military bases around the world. But most importantly, the endorsement that we receive from parents just like you that tell us how much using the Baby Signs program, signing with their babies every day, has enriched their lives.
Susan and I mentioned that we've been exploring the benefits of the Baby Signs program for over 30 years, and that's absolutely true. It all started one day in 1982 when my 12-month-old daughter, Kate, who was very frustrated because she couldn't talk, began inventing her own signs. The first one, we were out in the garden and she looked at a rose bush, turned to me with a grin, and went sniffing with her nose. She was really delighted when I figured out she wanted to talk about the flowers, and she continued to use that same sniffing gesture the whole day whenever she saw flowers, and actually continued to use that for months until she could say the word flower. She was very pleased at herself because she could be a full partner in conversations, and we noticed that it made us feel more connected to her. Susan and I watched her very carefully and kept track of her progress as she invented more signs and actually learned other ones that we modeled for her. It did make us feel connected with her, and that was wonderful. And we thought, well, maybe other parents can benefit from this too. But we didn't want to recommend the signing program to other parents until we were absolutely sure that there was no negative effects on infant development. Maybe you've heard the concern expressed by parents and grandparents that if you encourage a baby to use signs, he or she will not want to learn how to talk. We didn't think that was true, but we knew we had to find out for sure. So we asked the National Institutes of Health to give us funds to do an experimental study. With those funds, we followed 2 groups of babies. One group was encouraged by their parents to use signs, and the other group from same communities didn't know anything about signs at all. We followed them carefully for 2 years, and just as we suspected, the babies who were signing actually learned how to talk and understand words sooner, not later, but sooner. If you want to understand why this might be the case, why signing with babies might speed up learning to talk, it might be helpful to think about the relationship between crawling and walking. When a baby learns how to crawl, it certainly doesn't decrease that baby's interest in learning how to walk. If anything, it excites the baby about getting up and getting around even better by walking. The same thing is true about signing. When a baby learns how to sign, he or she is so excited about being able to communicate that the natural next step is to move on to the more efficient system of using words, so they're highly motivated to learn words. That's why we like to say crawling is to walking as signing is to talking.
It was this exciting discovery that gave us the assurance that we needed to feel comfortable sharing the Baby Signs program message to parents around the world. As parents ourselves, we know how important it is for parents to feel confident that what they're doing with their child is really good for their child. And the language benefits that we found are just the beginning. We also found that there are many social emotional benefits that the Baby Signs program can bring. For example, we know that the Baby Signs program can alleviate frustration. When babies and parents can't communicate with one another, they feel frustrated, both the babies and the parents. We also know that when babies can sign, they feel empowered in the world, that they can make a difference, that they can have an effect on things. And when they are able to do that, that really builds a sense of self-confidence, leading to a real positive self-esteem. All of those together lay a really strong foundation for a baby's future success. We also know that when babies sign and communicate with the people around them, it really draws people to them in positive ways. That's why we say the Baby Signs program can enrich the parent-child relationship and provide benefits in ways that will last a lifetime.